you're a good developer and you have been doing side hustles and long hours after work, grinding all day, trying to earn some money on the side besides your 9 to 5, but everything you do is just not taking off and not making any money. Well, I've been there, and today I'm going to explain you how you can overcome that and what you are maybe doing wrong. So I've been there myself. I am a software engineer, even been CTO, and I advise startups. I've been doing side hustles for over 7 years now, and I did over a dozen projects and all of them failed. Just recently, 2 months ago, I started with a simpler project called native.express, and I made 5K in just 2.5 months. So I'm going to explain you what I did wrong and what I did differently this time to make money and become profitable. And I'm going to explain you how you can do it as well and avoid these common mistakes so you can become profitable with your side hustle as well. Point number 1, you are building solutions in search for a problem. This is common mistakes everybody does when they start building startups or side hustles. You think of something new, right? I've been there as well. You think there's AI, now I want to build something with AI, and you think about, okay, what can I use AI for? But that's the wrong mentality. What you end up with is maybe a cool idea that sounds cool and people will tell you, the idea is cool, but nobody will use it and nobody's willing to pay for it, right? They may try it once, but they won't try it more and be consistent with it and make it a habit, and they won't pay for it, right? And there's no need when they won't pay for it. I've been there myself. I spent a long time building projects that nobody would use. 1 year ago, when the AI hype started and we saw more and more AI startups popping up, I sat down with my co-founders and we thought about what can we do with AI? What new opportunities are there? But this is the wrong approach. What we ended up with was an app that uses AI to generate podcasts. We built it and then nobody used it. Like, people were saying, this is cool, we want to have it, we want to try it. In the end, nobody did really use it and nobody paid for it because this is not a real thing. This is not a real problem. Yes, the idea might work. Yes, the idea might be cool, but think, would you really pay for it, right? What you should do is think about problems. What problems do I have and how can I solve these problems? And then think of, would I actually pay for this? Would I pay for the solution that I built? Would I pay for the problem that I have? Is the problem that urgent? And once you figure out the problem, it's not that difficult to find a solution. And then it's not that difficult to make a solution that people are willing to pay for, right? You only have to find a problem big enough and urgent enough that people want to pay, and that many other people have as well, not only you. But it's a good starting point. Like, if you have a problem that urgent that you want to solve for yourself, then you can go on and code it, and you can use it yourself as well, right? Even if it fails, you just solved your own problem and simplified your own life, and maybe along the way you will find more problems, and maybe it turns out that one of these problems that you figured out during solving the first initial problem might be a real problem that other people have, and that way you might end up with a real startup or a real project that's profitable. The most successful startups build solutions for problems. So they build a problem, they have a problem, they solve the problem, build a solution for that, and people pay for it, not the other way around. There are startups that work that way, but it's really, really hard to build a startup based on solution in search of a problem. Point number 2, you are too much of a developer. And I am a developer myself. I'm an engineer. I do it in my 9 to 5. I studied computer science. I have been coding since I can remember, and it's fun to me. I love coding, right? And I love trying new technologies. But when it comes to building a side hustle and a startup and a product, your tech stack doesn't really matter. What matters is the time of execution. How quickly can you launch? How comfortable are you with the tech stack you're using? You don't need to try something new. You don't need to think about, is my project going to scale? Because most of your projects are not need to scale. Most of them are going to fail if we are quite honest. And what I figured out is just using whatever tech stack I'm comfortable with, whatever tech stack I know the best, and just trying to quickly launch anything like an MVP, trying to get validation and trying to earn money. That's the right approach. I don't want to waste my time. My clients don't bother about my tech stack. And once you have the need to scale, that's a good problem to have, right? Imagine you have 1,000 users and now you have to scale. Then is the point where you think about scaling. You always can refactor your project. You always can try to scale, but just solve the problems that you have right now. Scaling is a problem that you want to have, and that's good to have, right? Because if you scale, then you know your idea is valuable and your idea is good and your product is good. Rather than spending time figuring out and building a solution, spend more time for other things that are important as well, like marketing, distribution, talking with your customers, iterating on feedback, understanding what your customers need, marketing. Marketing is super important. Most developers neglect marketing and spend more time building than distributing the idea. And you have to put your product and yourself out there. You have to do research. You have to understand, is this problem real, even before you write code? Not every MVP needs to be coded. You can try and use newsletters, use Reddit posts, blogs, talking customers, surveys. There are many things without even that do not require to write you any line of code before you can even think about if this project is something that you should code. Reality check, you're starting with the tech stack instead of thinking what the customer needs and if the customer needs what you want to build. Your project probably is not going to scale, it's probably going to fail, and at this point you just want to launch an MVP as quickly as possible and validate if your project is real. Real world example, I spent building the AI podcast app for almost 1 year. Then we launched and we didn't do marketing at all until this point. We talked to a couple students, couple friends, all of which were saying, oh, that's a cool idea, but no one really used it at the end. And we didn't know how to market it because we weren't solving a real problem. And 1 year passed and the project just failed. Nobody wanted it, right? That's what I'm saying. What I did different this time, I was posting or building in public on Twitter. I was posting about I did a tweet when I had the idea of building this product. Then I got some responses to that tweet. Next on, every time I would build an implemented feature or set up the project, I would tweet about it. I would post screenshots. I would put up code. I would discuss problems. All of that in public on Twitter. And then somebody DM'd me, said, hey, I saw what you're building. Is there any way I can get early access and is there any way I can purchase it? What I did, I used ShipFast, put up a landing page that was super scrappy in like an hour or two with just Stripe payment checkout link. And I was chatting with him and he DM'd me and purchased it. I did a pre-order. I promised him to deliver in like 3 or 4 days and I wasn't finished at all. And it was scary. It was really scary because I didn't trust in my project. I felt it's not good enough. I felt a bit ashamed of taking money. Like I felt I'm scamming the customer because it's not ready. I cannot assure quality because it was just so speedy. But he bought it and he was happy with it, right? And not only that, the feedback that he gave helped me to improve the product even before I launched, right? Besides that, I got more pre-orders. So I did like 5 pre-orders, which is like 1K in 2 or 3 weeks without having a product and without really having launched. If I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have made any money until this day. So put yourself out there, launch a product that you're ashamed for, launch as quickly as possible, even if you're scared of what people will think. And nobody, like most people, will contact you before they purchase. Maybe set yourself a time, 1 or 2 weeks. Say, I want to launch my MVP in 1 or 2 weeks and stick to that. Whatever you have after that time, launch it. And if you don't have anything until this time, then you have done something wrong or your product or your idea is just too big. And start marketing from day one, even before you write one single line of code. Put your idea out there, put your product out there, maybe put a landing page with pre-orders out there and talk about it. Start marketing right away. And even if you start coding, spend 50% of the time marketing. Point number 3, you are thinking too big. There's this one thing, it's called the next big thing syndrome, where you think I have to build the next OpenAI, I have to build a new ChatGPT, I have to build a new Facebook, I have to become the next Mark Zuckerberg. But that's just not right. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can start with a problem that's really simple. What I did is I had problems building mobile apps. It was taking so long to set up basic features. And what I did, I just put up a starter kit with guides, video tutorials, boilerplate code, Figma assets, all the problems that I have. I solved them in the most simple way and it's working. Like, it's not going to become a huge startup, but it can become, right? It's a journey. I start with a simple solution and for a simple problem, and I can always pivot in a more complex direction and make it a startup. But what people think is, oh, there's already competition, or maybe there's already this thing that solves that problem. But that's not an issue. That's a good sign. If there's competition, you know there's a market, there's a value, and there's a problem. And even if there might be a tool that already solves the problem that you want to solve, maybe it's not solving it correctly. You can go and check reviews, see, are the customers happy? What's annoying about the current solution? You do something that's called competitor analysis. You look up competitors in your field. What they're doing good, you are going to use as inspiration for your product, and what they're doing bad, you're going to do better. And that way you can start a startup and have innovation. You just use what's already there and improve it. Google wasn't the first search machine. Facebook wasn't the first social network. And you don't have to build a billion-dollar company if you don't want to, right? You don't have to build a unicorn. You can start with smaller projects. It's a journey. You have to do learnings, experience, and along the way you will maybe see a problem that's big enough to become a unicorn. But until then, stick with small problems, stick with small innovations. You can solve small problems for small niches, because if you solve a problem for a niche, it's much easier to get your first paying customers, because the more niche the product is, easier it is to reach those customers and to target those customers, right? Imagine trying to produce a t-shirt that everybody will like. Imagine trying to produce a shoe that everybody likes and that you can wear with every outfit. It's just super difficult, right? I can't wear sneakers with a suit, and I can't wear sneakers and maybe some people just don't like sneakers, right? They like a more classy look. The same is with products and your niche target audience. The more niche your target audience is and the problem, the easier it gets to really precisely solve the problem that the audience has. If I know my target audience are people that like to dress in suits, I can better design a shoe for them, right? And the same thing is with products. So there you go. These are basic mistakes everybody do, and that keep you from becoming profitable with a side hustle or startup. So what we learn is try to solve real problems. Start with the problem, not with the solution. Then, if you figure that part out, you try to not over-engineer and put out an MVP as quickly as possible and start marketing right away. And when it comes to the idea, try to start with small ideas, get some experience in building solutions, distributing, making money. And once you have that, you can go on and try to solve bigger and bigger problems and build bigger and bigger startups and companies. Well, that's it. Let me know in the comments if you ever had one of these problems and how you solved it and how you made your first money. And I'm eager to learn from your experience as well. See you in the next one. Bye.